A derivative is a financial instrument whose price is determined, or should we say derived, based on the development of one or more underlying assets, like stocks, bonds, interest rates, commodities, and exchange rates. It is a contract involving at least two parties and describing how and when the two parties will exchange payments. Some derivative contracts are traded in regulated markets, while others traded over the counter are not regulated. Derivatives traded in regulated markets have a uniform contractual structure and are much simpler to understand. Originally, derivatives served as a hedging instrument. Companies interested in buying these contracts were mostly concerned about protecting their investment. So, if a business owner sold some of his goods in pounds and received payments in 3 months' time, he would be more than willing to buy a derivative contract that allowed him to exchange pounds in 3 months for dollars today, locking the revenues he would receive from the sale today. That's how it started. However, with time, financial institutions introduced a great deal of innovation to the scene. The so-called financial engineering was applied, and new types of derivatives appeared. In today's world, there are many types of derivatives. Some are rather complicated and difficult to understand, even for well-trained financiers. We can distinguish between 3 groups of people dealing with derivatives: people interested in hedging their investments, speculators, and arbitrageurs, traders interested in finding pricing discrepancies and profiting from these, assuming no risk. In this lesson, we'll try to learn the 4 main types of derivatives and how they function. Then, in our next lesson, we'll learn how to use the Black-Scholes formula to price derivatives. Okay, perfect. There are 4 main types of financial derivatives: forwards, futures, swaps, and options. A forward contract is used when 2 parties agree that one party will sell to the other an underlying asset at a future point of time. The price of the asset is agreed beforehand. Let's say I am a corn producer, and 3 months from now, I'll have a certain amount of corn that's been produced and needs to be sold. I would like to fix the price of the corn today and be certain of the revenue I can expect. This is a classic example of hedging. A derivative contract is used to reduce risk. At the same time, the party who agrees to buy the corn could be a corn factory that must lock the cost of its raw materials. Both parties benefit from the contract. Futures are highly standardized forward contracts, typically stipulated in a marketplace. The difference between futures and forwards is the level of standardization and the participation of a clearinghouse. The transaction goes through the marketplace, and the counterparties do not know each other. Swap contracts are derivative instruments in which 2 parties agree to exchange cash flows based on an underlying asset at a future point of time. The underlying asset can be an interest rate, a stock price, a bond price, a commodity price, and so on. The most widely used swap contracts are interest rate swaps. One party agrees to receive a cash flow based on a fixed interest rate, while the other agrees to receive a cash flow based on a floating interest rate. So, if I stipulate a swap contract and agree to pay a fixed interest rate of 5% versus a variable rate, and the underlying contract is $100,000, when the contract expires, I must make the following calculation. $100,000 times 5% is equal to $5,000. This is the amount of money I owe the other party. Let's suppose the interest rate has fluctuated to 6%. 6% times $100,000 is equal to $6,000. So they'll owe me $6,000. In reality, the 2 parties settle only the difference between the 2 amounts and don't exchange the entire cash flow. Okay, great. The last type of derivative contracts we'll consider here are options. An option contract enables its owner to buy or sell an underlying asset at a price, also known as strike price. The owner of the option contract may buy or sell the asset at the given price, but he may also decide not to do it if the asset's price isn't advantageous. Option contracts can be exercised until a certain date, called maturity date. Options that involve buying an asset are called call options, while options based on the sale of an asset are put options. In addition, we can distinguish between European and American options. European options can be exercised only at maturity, while American options may be exercised at any time. Let's provide an example of how a European call option functions. If I own a European option of a stock, and its current price is $120, with an option strike price of $125 and a 6 months maturity, when the option expires in 6 months, I'll be able to decide whether or not to exercise it. If I exercise it, I'll buy the stock at $125. Any rational investor will buy the stock only if its share price has increased above $125, right? Okay, these are the 4 types of derivatives. But how do we price derivatives? How can we determine the right price to pay for a call option like the one we just saw? That's something we'll learn how to do in our next lesson. This will do for now. Thanks for watching.